Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Before I start, I want to wish Crafty Meraki a big happy birthday because the past week Crafty Meraki has been celebrating turning 3, which is incredible, and I'm so happy for Bindu. Big congrats with everything that you accomplished so far. I am going to feature the sweet tweets today, which is an adorable stamp set filled with birds, flowers, really cute. Now, another thing that I wanted to show you here is that Crafty Meraki has a new product line, which is and I will try to pronounce it correctly, the Effortless Artistry Paper Collection. It gives you tons of possibilities, so I'm unfortunately not going to showcase this specifically in my card today, but I really wanted to show you what it was all about. It gives you tons of advantages. Some of them is that, for example, you can easily create quick cards because the coloring has been done. The matching dies go with the stamps, but also with the papers that are already pre-colored for you. The lovely thing about the pre-coloring is also that it's done by hand. So on the front of the paper collection you can see who colored it, so it's really fun. For example, this one has been colored by Erica. If you know her, there are also multiple papers with the same coloring, so if you want to exactly recreate your card multiple times, you want to do a bit of bulk, you can easily do that as well. Because you have more than one that is colored specifically like that. So I think that's really great, but I also love coloring, so I thought for my card here to feature, I thought let's just color with Copics, also to showcase you some more combinations, maybe some more possibilities. But I truly enjoy this process. I also use the paper pad, the paper collection, to help me decide how I was going to color everything, because for example the birdhouse, I wasn't sure which color I could use, and so I looked at the paper collection and saw how the other incredibly talented people colored it, to just include everyone. The paper collection was colored by Lonon, if I'm correctly pronouncing it, Erica and Brenda. Stunning people, crazy talented, really fun. So that's something that you can do. Also, the stamps, well, the sentiments are already printed as well. If you have the option to foil, that's an option as well. The paper in the paper collection is really thick, so it's not that you have like this thin, wonky piece of paper die cut that is just, well, not really high quality. It's really high quality. I love it for that as well. And then there are, of course, some new stamps and die sets with flowers. You know me, flowers, I'm a bit afraid for them. So if you're like me, but you love flowers, but you just don't know how to tackle the coloring, there are also paper collections for them, so that you can easily incorporate flowers without having the struggle that you might have for the coloring. I also think about people with certain issues with muscles and stuff, or when I'm getting older. I'm only 26, so I have a bit of time, I think. But if you're getting older and the coloring is really a struggle, you can use that. If you have kids and they really don't know how to handle the markers, they don't like it, but they want to create with you, then you can give them these die cuts that you took from the paper collections maybe, and then you just have fun with it. I'm going to show you a card today that could easily be recreated. Also several options to create the background with. I'm using the Barnell Mini Slimline die today, which is truly my favorite of all times. You know it. It's really my favorite mini slimline die out there. There hasn't been any brand that has topped the Barnell Mini Slimline die. So I'm going to use that, but there are multiple ways to do the background with. And I think that if I used one of the papers from the paper collection, that it could really have been so easy to make immediately two cards for example, and have everything ready. You always like cards, you always like birthday cards, I'm sure of it, because I like them all the time. You can never have enough. So this really is a way to make multiple cards. If you don't have a lot of time to create a card, it can be the solution for you as well. Check it out, see if you like it, see if it works for you. But you might be surprised, because I think it's really genius, and I think it's gonna open like this way of crafting for so many people, for to make cards, to make some scrapbooks. I think it can be really fun for many people. So while I was blabbing away about the EAP product, I already colored the bird here with yellow. I'm going to color all of the birds the same way. The leaves will have the same way, so I'm not going to repeat the coloring for you, to keep this video kind of just inside boundaries. So as I said, I had no clue how to color this house. There are 4 ways done by the design team, and I think it's genius. So I thought, okay, blue can work. I will do blue here, and the blue works great with the yellow as well from the birds. So just have fun with it. Also, there are some pattern papers out there from Crafty Meraki, some really bright ones, perfect for birthdays. Some gingham, which is always lovely. Some with flowers, if you love those delicate cards. And of course, there are again new dewdrops. I mean, is there anything better than the embellishments that Crafty Meraki is bringing out? I mean, it's adorable, it's gorgeous, it's just perfect. Okay, so once the coloring is done, I took the matching dies, but if you don't want to color again, these dies work perfectly with the paper pack as well, so you can easily, immediately die cut multiple images there. Also on the Crafty Meraki Instagram, there is like a picture with like tons of die cut images, where she die cut actually the paper packs. And it's just really genius. I truly adore it, and it's just so lovely to see all of those die cut images ready to go to have fun with on cards. So yeah, for my background, if you don't want to use a pattern paper, you can do as I did, some ink blending. I took distress inks and I just made sure to have this really bright gradients. I first thought of having only these 3 distress inks, but in the end I also took Evergreen Bough to help me between the cracked pistachio and peacock feathers to get a nicer transition. So I did that. I also wanted to mimic a bit the sky and grounding, not too much grounding, because there is of course going to be like the branch with the leaves, but it was just a fun combination. I used these colors as well on the coloring, the green for the leaves, the blue on the house, and then of course you have this sky kind of feeling with the blue on top. Now originally, and you will also see that when I remove the pieces from the die cut, but originally I wanted to die cut this panel with the Barnon Mini Slimline die, and then have everything still in place, but just play a tiny bit with dimension, and just have this background continuously there. But I ended up doing something different and having a bit of white in between, which gives me multiple possibilities. So I will come back to that as soon as possible. Now first I decided to do a tiny bit of splattering, really subtle, but it is visible, definitely, and the recipient will see that as well. So I just smushed my inks on, well, this media mat. It's from Waffle Flowers, in case you're wondering. It's a media mat. It helps you with blending, so that your craft mat isn't well, filthy afterwards, but you can also press your inks on top, or just add some drops of ink and then use it to splatter, or anything you want. Truly multiple possibilities with this mat. This one is the mini, and there is a bigger one as well. I also ended up adding some white splatters, also really subtle, really fine, thin white splatters, not too much either, because I wanted to white heat emboss my sentiment. So in case you have too many gouache, too much of gouache on your background, it can sometimes hinder the stamping of the sentiment. So just take that into account. So here I have die cut the Barnon Mini Slimline die out of white cardstock, and then I try to remove my ink blended pieces here and keep them in order because I still wanted to inlay that. But when I tried like with the white die cuts to put it together, I actually really liked having the white space as the bars were left out, or even have like a white outline and then having those colorful bars. So you have three options here. You can make it continuous as I intended originally, but I'm going to change that. You can have the bars with the colors and a white outline or a colorful cardstock outline, or you can have the outline and then the bars white. And I ended up doing this, but as you can see, there are three options. And if you don't do the continuous backgrounds where everything flows, you actually have two options. So imagine that I didn't color myself and I took some of the EAP colored images. Well, then I could immediately create two cards because I have all the elements for one and for the second. So what I did, I die cut another white outline here. I call it outline, but you know what I mean. And I actually secured these bars in it with some post-it tape, and I kept it in the back of my die cut. Well, of my how is it called? I'm lacking the words. I'm keeping it in the back of my plastic with my die and the name of it, so I can use it for another card in the future. So here I am going to white heat emboss my sentiment. I'm going to continue with this part of my ink blending, and next I will take my white embossing powder. Mine is from Ranger. It's a super fine detail. It's really handy to have a super fine, because depending on the thickness of your sentiment, you don't want it to be any thicker, you know. So I just heat set that. Next up, I am going to assemble the card. So once everything is heat set, I have all of the elements ready. To play a tiny bit with dimension, I am going to add another layer underneath my ink blended panel. So I'm just using some liquid glue, and then I can add my ink blended version on top, press it down, wiggle it in place, and then we can go to the card base. Now, something that I find really handy when I need to add a panel, a frame, or anything on the card base is to first off close that card base with some purple tape. You can also use post-it tape, washi tape, anything like that. It helps me to really see where I need to place it. While it's open, I ruin it so many times when I leave that card base open. So just help yourself in case you're like me. Just add something in it and then you have this flat card base to work on. Next, I'm going to add all of the images. I'm using a combination of liquid glue and thin foam squares. I found it actually really handy that I changed my mind about my background, because this way I had all of the images positioned on the second way of doing the background, and I could easily just take it from there and bring it to my actual card for today. So that was a handy thing that just appeared because I changed my mind throughout the process. So I'm just adding all of the images. I will embellish this card a tiny bit with some white hard clay embellishments, but you can add so many embellishments if you want to. Really fun way of creating the card. Also, whenever I'm trying to position these images, I work in three, kind of in a triangular way. I have three birds. I don't want them to be in a specific triangle. It needs to be an irregular one. Also, while positioning or trying to find the positioning for my embellishments, I found the idea of adding a heart in the center of this house so cool, but it didn't work out with the positioning of the other hearts, so I ended up not doing that. But in case you like the idea as well, use it. Create some fun cards, add those hearts or other embellishments in the center of that birdhouse. I think it's really adorable. But this is going to be my really simple but bright Happy Meal card to showcase in this spectacular Merakiversary release. Again, big congrats to Bindu for having this amazing brand, for starting it, for already have having Crafty Meraki for 3 years, it's incredible, and still having these gorgeous releases every time. Thank you also for letting me join you in this celebration. I hope that everyone enjoyed this video, that it could inspire you. Have fun with your new products. Don't forget, there are many giveaways. I think there are already 4 hubs that have been launched the past week. One on YouTube, not including this video. So join over there. There are 3 hubs on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. So many possibilities to win a giveaway. So join those. Let yourself be inspired by all of the amazing creations. Thank you so much for being here, and I wish you all an incredible day. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye!